The Dominican order was founded by St. Dominic, and St. Dominic founded the order in southern France in 1216, and he founded it in the midst of a period in which there was a heretical challenge to authentic Catholicism. So the order that he founded was committed to helping the people experience real, genuine Catholic teaching. St. Dominic founded this group initially of men and women.
And the Dominican Sisters of Peace, who are the resident sisters on the Ohio Dominican University campus, are part of that tradition of 800 years. The Dominican order is an order of teachers. They actually were the educators, the people that went out in community that had a purpose to bring religious teachings to people all over the world.
When there was the need for catechesis in the pioneer Catholic communities, particularly in Kentucky, Bishop Fenwick was one of the first Dominicans to come. And then when they got to this little section called Bardstown, they knew that they needed help catechizing the pioneer families. They wanted sisters to start schools. So they asked the local women if they would be willing. And this amazing group of women said yes. They gave up everything, whatever else their plans had been, and chose to live a very austere life. By the 1830s, they had come to Ohio. They realized that the best way to educate young Catholic women was to have a Catholic school where they could be trained by educated Catholic sisters and offer a curriculum that was just literally amazing, so much so that they attracted students from the East Coast. Criticism, mental and moral philosophy, algebra, geometry, grammar, chronology. This is 1860.
There was a fire in Somerset, and they had to make a decision whether or not to stay in Somerset or relocate. Of course, by that time, Columbus was becoming a thriving capital city, and a man named Leonard, with the last name Leonard, and Leonard Avenue passes right by here, donated a significant parcel of land for the Dominican sisters to relocate here.
They moved here in 1868. They put up the first building, which was basically, I think, a 3 or 4 story convent academy.
When the Dominican sisters moved here, they really became a congregation known as the Dominican Sisters of St. Mary of the Springs. And there is a spring that goes through the land, and it seemed like an appropriate name. Naming it after St. Mary, of course, is a very Catholic tradition. And when they started their educational institution, it made sense to name it after St. Mary's of the Springs, starting in 1911.
Initially, it was really teacher training. Our sisters were going out to teach in parochial schools, so they really needed to be credentialed to do that. We actually, through those years, did educate people at Ohio State, but that could become a little bit expensive. And we had all our own women who were highly educated. Once it was discovered that they could get credentialed as professors at the college level, we sought that kind of accreditation and got it from the state. But then it became clear that they wanted to do more than that. They wanted to offer a bachelor degree. They initiated a building campaign in the 20s, right on the brink of the Depression, which resulted in the major academic building, which is called Erskine Hall, and a residential building called Sansbury Hall. The 60s, as we all know, brought all kinds of changes, and one of them was the Vietnam War. So during that period, men could be exempt from the draft if they were taking education courses. Piece by piece, through night school and Saturday school, they began to admit men to these education programs, and so eventually it just became clear that this needs to be a co-ed institution. So in the 60s, it became a coeducational university. So shortly after the coming of men, they changed the name to Ohio Dominican First College, and then later, as new degrees were offered, Ohio Dominican University.
One of the things I'm most proud of about being associated with Ohio Dominican University is the fact it was founded by women. And that's very much a part of the Dominican mission, the educational mission of the Dominican Order. But these were women not just teaching, these were women starting educational institutions and being stewards of them forever. Many of the sisters had PhDs when a lot of women barely finished grade school. A third of our board members are still Dominican sisters, so there are still Dominican sisters on campus teaching. It is a Catholic institution, but we have people of every single faith tradition imaginable. We're committed to the education of each individual, not just in an educational sense where they learn something that they take into the world, but the creation of the whole person, a sense of purpose, a sense of commitment to a greater good, a sense of spiritual development, whatever that might be. And it really is a learning environment that inspires people to do their best.